You personally played, obviously, to the highest level, coached more recently with great success, and then more latterly, spectator. Just you personally, these last 4, 5, 6 years, watching the game, had you stopped enjoying the spectacle of Gaelic football on an average weekend across the championship?
I wouldn't say every weekend, and I would have taken a big step back from the game. I was involved for 12 consecutive years, 7 with this. It's 5 with the 21s and 7 with the senior team, so it's quite a long spin. So when I probably got back into it, maybe because of my background in coaching, you have maybe an appreciation of the tactical dimension. I mean that in the greatest respect of, defence is part of everyone's game plan. Some teams want to play in a counter-attacking style, want to compress the defence, be it blended zone and man defence, and then break out. Some people, don't like that, but that is part of the game because you can. You have no offside rule in Gaelic football. You can put your players where you want, and that's what some coaches decided to do. And indeed, with the Dublin football team, often we brought all our outfield players in behind the 45. Wouldn't be our go-to defensive play, but hey, we did it, and I acknowledge that. So, but we had a particular way we wanted to play the game, which kind of speaks to the club scene we have in Dublin and how they play the football. So there's no right or wrong way to play Gaelic football. That's the first thing I'd say. And who am I to hear to stand on my soapbox and say I didn't enjoy it? Maybe the games in some instances were a little bit pedantic, and it's not what we're used to in terms of what my background from my having grown up in the 80s and played football intercounty in the 90s. So there were some really exciting games, and then there's in the modern game there can be some periods of where the game is stagnant. And pedantic as teams, retreat, set themselves up defensively, and then the opposition have to break them down, and that sometimes can take a while for that to happen, until you begin to stretch the defence and get gaps and exploit those gaps and get your scores off. So the game kind of became a game of still is a game of territory, the way traditionally because you need to get the ball up, but it became a game of sometimes possession and maybe economics as well, where you're maybe more concerned because of the shot-score ratios rather than the past. If you look back to the games, even when I played in the 90s, some of the modern coaches would be aghast to see the level of turnovers, the level of mispassing, the level of wides in the game.
Yeah.
And that's just, it was of its time.
Yeah. And the interesting thing in response to all of that is, take a Kieran McGeeney, for instance. I would have seen over the last couple of years, but not just him, many within the game, when they're being asked about, God, the game's just not quite catching fire the way it would. Those in the game would, he memorably in my mind would react very strongly to that and say, well, all this negativity, the game has never been better, the skills are better than ever, the players are fitter than ever. Can everyone just calm down here a little bit? And he would make that argument very convincingly. And also, the good games that really did catch fire were great. We've had great games in the last couple of years. So I guess even for you, there must have been a degree when you sit down with Charlotte and discuss it over those coffees initially of like, we've got to be so careful here because some of the good games are better than ever, and those coaching are really not going to thank us. So that was kind of the dilemma in some respects, because I did at times find the McGeeney line very convincing. There's nothing wrong with the game.
Yeah, so I don't think it's convincing. I think he's from Kieran's perspective, he's right, and we all have different perspectives. And I think one of the challenges that we had in the football review committee is to park our bias of what we felt the game, should be. The questions you're asking me, and it's our job to put the survey. So we put a survey out. We got over 7,000 responses, over 5,000. So that's the kind of the qualitative data, and the quantitative data.
And did you use the feedback in that survey in a big way? Was that a
very
guiding?
much so, yeah.
Okay. As opposed to, I'm Jim Gavin and I think it should be this way. Yeah. You kind of make it a touch more democratic.
Not a touch. It was democratic.
Okay.
Yeah. So and in general, people was in the survey said that we have a good game.
Did they?
Yeah. But then when you dive into it, in the specifics, they go, okay, well, we would like to have more kick passing. We'd like to have more high fielding. We would like to have more long range scores. We would like to have more one-to-one contests. We would like to have more goals. They're the 5 top things that emanated from the survey. So then we had that. Okay, that's what our I use the corporate word stakeholders, but it's players, coaches, spectators, referees, administrators at inter-county and club level, everybody. That's the general sense at a very high level. So we had that. Then we had our terms of reference. We were asked to look at previous reports. So that would be the Standing Committee and Playing Rules. Their job is to look at the game and our rules being implemented. We look at the Football Review Committee. Eugene McGee, God rest him, chaired the last one 10 years ago in 2012 up to 2014. And then the terms of reference spoke about creating, excitement for players and spectators, memorable moments, looking at potential new scoring systems, looking at the tradition of the game against the recent innovations of the game. And traditional game would be that the ball is played kind of vertically up the pitch. Charlie Elton kicks it out, Jack O'Shea catches the ball, turns around, kicks into bomber liston, fan pass to John Egan, and the ball's in the back of the net. That's kind of the traditional game as we'd see it. But that game is still played as we know. And we've seen some recent, even the club activity that in recent days that, that still is in the part of the game against the modern bit that I explained earlier on about that possession kind of economic space game. We're asked to look at a potential new blueprint for football. And so they were our terms of reference. And we hope what we have produced as a Football Review Committee speak to those terms of reference, which were voted upon last week. And the interesting bit now, as you said, is how is this going to work out next year?
Yeah.